Okay, so if I now press rendered view here, I can say that we have all the components in to be able to do rust on the colored parts right now. So I start directly in this session to do the mask, and in the next session we will add the actual rust into this. So to create the mask we have to think a bit backwards. So as you remember, I started from the first layer, added some dust, then some dirt, and in the end some edges and scratches. If you now think, okay, where will the rust start? Then the rust will start where it's most damaged. All those open areas that you can see here, all those scratches. So it will start here with edge wear and scratches. And after that, it will come to the dirt, because the dirt contains moist and so on. So sooner or later it will then create rust. And after that we have some random on the same place where we get the dust, so to say. So that will have the least priority, and then we are back from the start. And if we just let this stay out for hundreds of years, then we get random rust all over the place. So we can say that this is that one. So what we have to do is to think that, okay, we should start here. So I would like to have the highest number from this, and then the next highest number from this, and so on. And to show it, I then take the material output away here, so we get everything black. And then it's time to create our mask here. And on the bump map you can see that here we have all the scratches. So here we have all the scratches, and these will create rust first of all. And then we have like metallic, and we have roughness and other things that we can use here. What I normally do in this case is that we have already mixed the colors together, so the factor that we use to mix the color is also a good factor to get where we get the rust. However, what I would like to have out is never something that is below 0 or higher than 1. So we need to filter the values to be sure. So I will always do a Rustmask output here from these things. So we can start right away selecting edge wear and scratches and pressing tab. And then I will search for the color here, and then I will look at the factor, and the factor comes here, and I would like to separate the scratches and easy to reach edges. So I will go one step back here and put an add to those two and put them in. So I will add an add. So pressing Shift A, converter, a math, and an add, and that I will put in as a new output, and that value we find here at the bottom will be called Rustmask. So that is what we will use, and then I will just combine then the same as we do here. So the factor from here, and then the factor from the scratches. So we put them in here, and we then need to filter things out. As I said, can't be sure that the factor here is between 0 and 1, and I can't be sure that it's the same here. So we need to get some proof or filter out value here, and we can do that with a minimum node. So I do Shift D on this one, and then I put that to a minimum, and I put a value of 1 here, and I put a clamp here. And that means that the clamp will prevent every negative number or high number to leak out here. And a value of 1 means that the maximum value will always be 1 here, because it will be the minimum between what comes here and what comes here. And if a value is lower than 1, then the lower value will win, so to say. So that will just pass here. And if that value is higher than 1, so it's like 2, then it will be clamped here. So then it will be 1 out here. So it will never be over 1 here. And then I do exactly the same with the one that we have below. So I press Shift D and then I press this like this. So now I have 2 values and the maximum value out here will be 2. So in that case we can then select the higher value of those 2. So if the scratches are higher, then they will rust first, and then the next value will come and that will rust and so on. So it would be a good way to do this. And then I can just press Tab and go out and use the Rustmask and put that in here, and you can now see all the white stuff here. And if I go up here, you can see that the small scratches are even whiter. They are almost glowing here. So that means that that will be the first place where everything will rust. Now we do about the same thing with the dirt, since that is the next place. So I then press Tab when I have dirt selected, and I try to find the color, and that's one is the color, and the factor comes from the map range here. So I could connect it directly here, but I use this minimum insurance. So I press Shift A, converter, math, put in minimum, I put that to 1, and I put in a clamp value here, and then I put that into the value, and I take that in here, and the value will then be called Rustmask. So I have that in as well. And then I can just press Tab to go out, and all I have to do now is add this Rustmask from Edgeware that we have here with the Rustmask that we have here. So I just press Shift A, converter, math, put in an add for this one and for this one. So now I have got all the information from the dirt as well together with the other one. And then finally we need to do exactly the same thing with the dust. So we connect the dust as well here. So go to the dust and press Tab and find the color. And the color is this one. So then we just use the factor from that, and that is coming from here into this one. So then we can use that, and I do exactly as did before, an insurance. So Shift A, and then I use the converter and the math, and I use a minimum, put the value to 1, see, so I have clamp in, and then I take this here and I put that into a new output, and I call that value output Rustmask as well. And then I go press Tab, and then I add that Rustmask from the dust here into the other ones that we have up here. So I just press Shift D, copy that one, and it goes from this Rustmask to this and that Rustmask, and now we have an opening here and we have an opening on the dust, so we put that in here. And since we add it in this order, this part will always be the first one. I will just check, because now it looks a little bit wrong here. So I do a check with the Rustmask first, and that looks okay, because the white part is what I would like to rust first, and it's okay here, so that one is okay. Then I would like to check the dirt Rustmask, so I take that one and directly into material output, and this one is wrong, because here we can see that there is the black parts that should be rusted first, not the white. So we need to invert this Rustmask here, but that is easily done. So we can just go into dirt here and press Tab and see, so we have the Rustmask, it's here somewhere, and we just put in an invert here. So I can take this, Shift D, put it here, and I have to do something so it reacts. It's some kind of bug or something. But if you just do something like this, it reacts, and then we get that correct as well. And then I can go out, and then I know that this is also working. And then I can just check the last rust mask as well, and that is the dust. So then I go from the dust up here, and it looks okay. It's the white part here that should be the dust or the rust, and that is on the right spot. So that is also okay. So now back again, and now this looks much better. I think these are glowing a bit much, so I will go back just to check. Edge round scratches, and I do the same here, do some changes, just to be sure that nothing is wrong with these. Could be sometimes it doesn't update when we add nodes, and then just do something on the last node that you have out, and everything will be okay. So it looks okay now, and I go out again. We have the minimum and so on. Now I would like to find what is the maximum value that we are using here. It should be like maximum 4, but it could be lower than that. So to check it, I can use a greater than here. So I press Shift A, converter, math, and I put in a greater than. And now you can see that we have some black parts, and when I increase this, you can see that the black parts are now disappearing, and now it's completely gone. We have a few points here, but not much at all, 2.5, and they are gone. Let's see if we have something else. Very few here. Could be that I should go up to 2.7, and I think all of these are now gone. It could be so that that when we change values here, they can change just a little bit. So if I put this to 3, then I'm sure that everything will be without any rust, and then we can change that. So what should I do with this value then? What I can do is that I put in a map range, because then I can control how much of this I will use. So then I can start to rust it and then make it rust lower and lower and lower. So I press Shift A, converter, and a map range, and put that in here, take that into the surface, and I use this number 3 here as a max value, because we will never go over that value. Take away the greater than, and if I now change the from min value here, you can see that if I go up to 3, I should never go over that value, so we can control that later on. But if I go up to 3, everything is black, and then I can just decrease it. And if I decrease it just a little bit, then the first thing that happens is that all the scratches will get rust. If I decrease it even more, then we get some rust on the edges here as well, and then I can decrease it even more, and now you see all the parts where we use the dirt and so on will then be on here, and then it's just for me to continue down. And if I leave this lantern out for a very long time, then we can say that I go below 0, and when I go below 0, then everything will be rust in a random way. So here we have our main controller to add rust, and to be able to control it in an even better way, then we just add main strength key here. So we just add a multiplier. So I press Shift A, converter, and then I use a math, and I put in a multiply. So now we can control the contrast as well. So we can have a lot of rust on a few places, or we can let it spread out. let's see here. Okay, this shouldn't be 3 here, so I don't know why it was changed before. Yeah, so we can have it really spread out like this, but with a low contrast. So we have a little bit of rust, but almost everywhere. Or we can take up this to a higher value, so like this. And now we only have the scratches, but increase the contrast. And then we have rust on only these places, but we have a lot of rust on those places. So it's no color left at all here. So a combination of this and this one here will then be our rust controller. So what we can do now is we can take that, and we can take this one, and we can take this one, and this one here to create our rust controller. So I select this, select all of them, and just press Ctrl G. So we have them as an input, and then we have an output. And what I would like to have in here is then the values can be there, but I would like to be able to control how much rust I will use with this one. So that will be the rust spread, so to say. So we can call this rust area. I think would be great to use rust area. And then I can have this as the strength. So I put that out and call this strength. Then I have the rust mask out here, so I call this Rustmask. Like this, or perhaps with a small letter like that. So now it's Rustmask. And then we have to control these so they are correct. So I press Tab, and the first value is the rust mask from the edge. The second one is, let's see, so we get everything correct, is from the dirt, and the last one is for the dust. So then we know it, and we can then name it. So the first one is scratches, rust mask scratches, and then we had rust mask dirt, and then we had this one, which is rust mask dust. So then we have that in, and now it's understandable what we're doing. We have rust mask scratches, rust mask dirt, and dust, and we have a rust area that we can control. And now that is reversed, as you can see here. So a high value is a low rust area, so perhaps I should turn that on or reverse it. So we can do that. Press Tab here, or we just name it to rust filter. So high value, a high filter. Easy, fixed. So high filter, low filter. Okay, and a high strength, that is a high strength, and a low strength. Yes, that works. So now we have this, and the only thing I have to do now is name that. So I call that rust controller, like that. And then we have it in here, and I can then go back and just connect this to the shader here. So now everything is prepared. We have our rust controller here using all these things here, and we are able to create our rust. You can later on, and I will do that as well, add more randomness into this, but we start with this anyway. And what I will do in the next session now is to add another shader that will be the rust, and the factor for that shader will then be controlled by the rust controller here. But that will take some time to do as well, because we are going to create the rust. So I take that in the next session, but now we have the controller here that we can do stuff with, and that's great for us. So I just say bye for now, and we see you, or I see you, in the next session.